It's the continuation of the Honda PBA Philippine Cup 2021, and it's the battle for the top spot in the team standings. Two teams off to excellent starts here in the resumption of the tournament. In their opening games in the PBA semi-bubble, the TNT tropang Giga battled back from an early deficit against the Blackwater Bossing. They eventually won by 20 points after trailing by 6 at the half. And as for Meralco, their start in the semi-bubble couldn't have been any better. Pitted against the number 1 team, then number 1 team, Magnolia Hotshots, who was 4-0 at that time. They won. The Meralco Bolts won via a game winner of Chris Newsom. And again, that was just a marvelous win, and it should be something that boosts them. Newsom today will have to worry about Jason Castro and the rest of the TNT tropang Giga, but Meralco Bolts also have shown great things here in this tournament. As you see their standings, the two hottest teams in the league right now, TNT still undefeated, 4-0. As for Meralco, they've garnered 3 straight wins. They started out the tournament with back-to-back wins and then dropped one, but then recovered quickly. And even after a month-long break, these two teams did not lose a step. Quick to get a W over in Bacolor, Pampanga. Let's talk about how TNT did it against the Blackwater Bossing. It was a lot of team basketball. In that second half, no one really scoring in the high 20s or it was just team effort. Look at how they were able to play that second half. Was a plus 26 in that second half, particularly in that third quarter where they outscored the Blackwater Bossing 37-17. That was just a brilliant display of high-octane offense. And you know what? That's exactly what we saw from them last year in the PBA bubble. Remember when we started the bubble in Angeles, in the Angeles University Foundation gym? It was Roger Pugoy, Ray Parks Jr., and JP Aram setting career highs. And, they have new guys right now. No more Ray Parks, but this man, Mikey Williams, has been putting on a show. Williams, the rookie. It took some time, number one, before he got here. He missed the first game of TNT. And then it took some time before he fully became comfortable here in the PBA with his new club, the TNT tropang Giga. And after a month of break, it seems like he just has found more comfort in his role with the Tropa. Was able to put up 16 points, and those came in the first 3 quarters. A lot of those then. He was the first one actually to break into double figures for the TNT tropang Giga, and he'll continue to be a factor for them. And it also doesn't hurt that he has a great mentor alongside him in Jason Castro. And it was last year and a few conferences ago that Jason Castro started to come off the bench for the TNT tropang Giga, but it doesn't matter. 11.8 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. That's just numbers that a leader posts. And also, it's noteworthy to say that Jason Castro is home here in Bacolor, especially inside the Don Honorio Ventura State University gym. This is his alma mater where he played first played organized basketball in high school, was also a member of the track and field team then, and we know how his story has gone since his inception or his introduction to basketball here. As for Meralco, as we mentioned earlier, it was also a come-from-behind win for them. And boy, that was a big win. They were down by 13 points in the last 2 minutes, and many people were ready to write them off of that game. But then Meralco just said, nope, not yet. We are not going to go down without a fight. And that fight ended up with Chris Newsom delivering the final blow. And Newsom, he is the bona fide leader of this team. Not just in terms of numbers, him leading the team, but just you can ask anyone from Meralco and they'll tell you how much of a locker room leader, an on-court leader, Newsom is. The points, he was the highest scoring Bolt in that game. He had 14 points and did not really have the best shooting afternoon, 50%, he had 4 assists, but it's a matter of when the points came for Nunu. He scored the last 5 points for Meralco as they battled back from that 13-point deficit again late in that game. And also, we were talking about the highest pointer, or numbers-wise, the best performer of that game. And Cliff Hodge would easily break into that picture because him and Mac Bello were two guys who were forces on the offensive end as well as the glass for Coach Norman Black and the Meralco Bolts. And you just look at this, in 40 points combined for Hodge and Bello. There was a time, again, that Cliff Hodge would be going off for 20-point, 10-rebound games. It was back in 2015. He was about in his second or third year in the league. But that's not what Meralco needs from him anymore, and he understands that very well. Again, this man, the blur on your streets, is someone that Meralco will have to put a focus on, because no matter what anyone says about the blur, he may be getting up there in age, but he's still one of the forces in the PBA. It's gonna be the battle for the top spot, Meralco versus TNT, in just a bit.
This is the 2021 PBA Philippine Cup, coming to you from the Don Honorio Ventura State University in Bacolor, Pampanga. Our third game for today features TNT Tropang Giga versus the Meralco Bolts. And now the starters. First for TNT Tropang Giga. A 5'10 guard from Cebu City, number 13, Brian Heruela. A 6'2 guard from Naga City, number 5, Mikey Williams. A 6'2 forward from Talisay, Cebu, 16, Roy. A 6'7 forward from Cagayan, number 18, Troy Mario. And a 6'6 center from Cebu, number 21, Kelly Williams. Head coach for TNT is Chuck Reyes. And now the starters for the Meralco Bull. A 5'10 guard from Davao City, number 10, Tol. A 6'2 guard from Pintig, Ilocos Norte, number 11, Chris Newsom. A 6'4 forward from Makati City, number 22, Elaine Maliksi. A 6'4 forward from Midsayap, North Cotabato, number 12, Mac Bello. And a 6'8 center from Orion Bataan, number 20, Raymond Almazan. From Meralco is Norman Black.
Here are the starters for these two teams. Heruela Williams and Mikey and Kelly, that is. Troy Rosario and Roger Pagoy on the side of TNT. Got Pinto, Newsom, Almazan, Bello, and Maliksi for Meralco. We talk about these teams. New guys on the roster as we see our officials for this game. Sherwin Pineda, Mike Flor de Riza leading our group of officials for this particular matchup. Again, this is an important one. This is a battle for the top seed. TNT 4-0. Meralco just right under them in second place, 5-1 record. The Magnolia earlier, they got the win. And we give you that tip-off brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. That win earlier by Magnolia, it propels them up to a 5-1 record, but Meralco still taking second place via that win over the other. A win here, though, will put them up to number 1. That'd be very telling. And with how quick this tournament is going, you want to take all the wins you can get as early as possible, not just to secure the your berth into the playoffs and possibly a better position. As you see Newsome continuing to do damage just as he did the other day. That was all beautiful pass from Raymond Almazan. Give and go action right there. Basic basketball, but when executed to perfection, it is a thing of beauty. Chris Newsome, there's no question about him being the leader of this Meralco team. And he has a lot of weapons around him. Sometimes it's going to be Macbelo, top scoring. Maybe it's going to be Alain Maliksi, sometimes Raymond Almazan. But at the end of the day, the heart and soul and the keys of this squad has been given to Newsome. TNT, you can't take them lightly. Take a look at the potent starting lineup they're working with. And then you have so many talented guys coming off the bench. TNT, of course, led by Jason Castro, who would top score for them off the bench. And that's just the kind of player the Blur is. He doesn't have to start. He's instant offense. When they put him in, he will always be stand up to be the leader of TNT. Newsome. Oh, they lost. They lost the shot clock there. That's going to be a violation on Meralco. Not much happening on their side. Coach Chot Reyes stepping into the leadership role once again of the TNT squad. And, well, you can't argue what he has done with this team because they're 4-0, the only team that remains undefeated here in the Philippine Cup. Williams to Heruela. Heruela will hit again. All 5 points of TNT coming from Brian Heruela. Meralco trying to calibrate their attack. And that's a couple of turnovers that they have collected here in the first quarter. Very, very early. TNT just trust in each other. It doesn't always have to be the Jason Castro, Troy Rosario, Pugoy. Heruela is the one who's doing damage for them, but you can't take away the points out of Roger Pugoy. That guy's just such a talented scorer. A beautiful connection. What would have been for Pinto and Belo, who had been teammates before in Blackwater. It's a reunion that they're having here in Meralco. And talk about the fit that Mac Belo has found here in Meralco. He had spent his entire PBA career with the Blackwater Elite prior to the recent trade that brought him here, and had only played 6 games with the Meralco Bulls. But in his very first game with them, he already scored a career-high 27 points. And then again, you saw the graphic earlier in their last matchup against Magnolia. He was the top scorer of Meralco in 22. They're falling behind here. Only 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Maliksi knows about it and does something about it. In terms of scoring, points production, Alain Maliksi is someone who's always going to be dependable. Rosario, he loves that corner 3, but Belo quick to step out and defend. William, out to Pugoy. RR, he thrives in that kind of offense. He's been so familiar with that triple drive offense of Coach Chot, and maybe not with TNT, but his time with Gigas Philippines, that's the same offense and system that they love to run. A lot of the players of TNT had played for the national team under the leadership of Coach Chot Reyes, so they are familiar with what he likes to run. Mikey Williams may not have been one of them, but he has certainly understood what they're trying to do with TNT. He's so lethal. He can knock down those outside shots because he can easily put that ball on the floor and attack as well. TNT looking like a well-oiled machine, and that's why the timeout is called here. This one brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. Welcome back to the Honda PBA Philippine Cup. The game's being played over in Bacolor, Pampanga. We're up here in the TV5 and Signal Studios in Reliance where we're calling the games for you. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the action as the PBA Philippine Cup resumes. It's been great, to see live action once again. I mean, we really enjoyed bringing you the replays and the look back at the games that we did on Shoot Around here on PBA Rush, but it's just different, to enjoy live games. And I know we wish we were out there in the venue supporting, your favorite teams and players, but at the very least, live sports, live basketball, hard to complain. John Pinto has also showed a resurgence in his career here. Entered this tournament even before, when we were playing the games over at the Inari Sports Arena in Pasig. He already showed great foundation, ready to put in work because he had put in work in the off-season, losing a ton of weight. Pugoy gets rid of Malik C on that move, but he's couldn't get the shot to stay down. Malik C to Newsome, almost lost it, recovered just in time. 14-8 is the lead of TNT. Pinto coming off the screen from Almazan, and Almazan used a little bit too much of that hip. He gets called for an offensive foul. Turnovers actually hurting Meralco here early in the game. That's already their third error. AC, instead of just rolling immediately, Raymond kind of extended further upwards towards the three-point line. That's where the foul was called. That was Brian Heruela drawing that foul, and he's actually done a lot of positives for his team. He scored the first 5 points of TNT, then was able to draw that foul. Kelly Williams getting caught there with a foul as they battled for the rebound. Meralco staying patient on offense. There's the trap on Malik C. That's what the trap does. More than put pressure on the ball handler, it also kind of seals those passing lanes. That's why TNT was able to take that away, but then they lose the basketball right back. Newsome could not capitalize on it. He gets it back. Almazan will try the defense of Williams, realized that wasn't the best option, and TNT gets the stop right there. They're off to the other side, trying to look for an option. These teams have been silent for quite some time. Rosario putting the ball on the floor. Troy, a versatile big man, but still misses on both ends. It's going to be a very interesting matchup as these two teams battle for the top spot. And there's still so many more games left in this tournament, and it's very possible that, they still slide down the team standings, might not even play for the top spot eventually, but still, you want to ride out this momentum as long as it's on your side. It was a long time that these two teams were silent and they could not get a bucket, but finally they're able to sort things out. It was TNT who broke the silence with that Mikey Williams incursion. And for Williams, he came into this bubble, as we take a look at this first, that steal. And then Mikey Williams, as we mentioned earlier, he's someone who can shoot from outside, can also take it to the rack. Averaged 8.5 points per game prior to the break that we had, and also 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists.
That was really his best game, before the break started. And even in that game, you saw him start to really get comfortable. The points don't necessarily show what he was able to do in that game, but also the last game, we got a chance to see exactly why TNT drafted this young man.
Definitely, it's the potential that we're talking about. And I think it's a given fact that TNT expects him to come in and try to do immediate damage because he's a rookie at 29 years old, someone who has been around and has played in so many leagues, including, Ali, the NBA G League.
NBA G League. He impressed me a lot. He used to work out with Mighty Sports. Mighty Sports was sort of an extension over at College of St. Benil with Charles
That's right.
Chu and I. Charles, as a matter of fact, is an assistant coach for the Meralco Bolts, but I was very impressed with him. I was very impressed with his work ethic, the way he was able to conduct himself in practice. Also just following instructions and being able to run the show, whatever Coach Charles Chu needed from him. He did an absolutely great job. I was very impressed with him, and I said, wow, TNT is picking this guy up. He is a great filler, especially for someone like Ray Parks not being available for TNT anymore.
But how do you feel that he can complement or work with Jason Castafer in the team?
Running the show, absolutely. Jason Castro getting a little bit up there in age. He's going to need a lot of backup and support, so you need someone to fill in that space. Now, opposite of that, Brian Herwella was someone who really came on strong in that third quarter, particularly against Blackwater in their last game. So you have Brian Herwella and you have Mikey Williams complementing Jason Castro. Very, very great lineup.
And that's why TNT, such potential, a lot of potential in that team. They're gunning for their 5th straight win. They're up by 8. The Meralco Bolts, they're put to test right now. They're down by 8. But as much as I say that, it reminds me of the situation they were in just a couple of days ago. Remember that they were down by 13 in the last 2 minutes of that game against Magnolia, but suddenly they flipped a switch, and that game just also, took a flip.
Well, I say this is a different team, Meralco Bulls. Of course, you have the core there. Obviously, Basera Mayer is no longer in the picture, but they dealt with the situation was the lack of big men or the presence of big men. Normally, the All-Filipino Cup is an Achilles heel for Meralco Bolts. But now they've been able to address that by bringing in numerous bigs, one of them, Mac Bello, who was part of that trade.
Bong Quinto, after a couple of bounces on the rim, was able to get that to fall through.
The irony of all of this is that the last 2 games Coach Chut has coached have been against his former assistants. Well, if you want to consider Coach Norman a former assistant, more so a consultant, but all part of that dynasty 10 years ago, right?
That's right.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, it kind of happened also. Well, that familiarity earlier when Barangay Ginebra lost to Terra Firma. Remember that Coach Tim Cohn was the one who drafted Coach Johnny Del Cardel as well.
Wow.
So interesting things, that happened here. This time though, look at that move from Poy Eram.
That's not the first time we've seen those types of moves executed by Poy Adam. We saw that in his last game, the versatility that he brings to this team. But you could tell that Coach Chut expects a lot more from him. I want to see him do a better job of being more of a physical presence underneath, particularly when it comes to boxing out. He struggled with that, also help side defense.
Jackson, wayward on that attempt. Here's Cobuntin leaving it up for Aram, but there is an offensive foul, and guess who was there to take that, to fall on the ground? That was Cliff Hodge,
Cliff
man.
Hodge, always on the ground. But speaking of another pickup for TNT, Giga, Cobuntin has been really huge for Coach Chut and for this team.
Absolutely, and Glenn Cobuntin, you know, he spent a lot of his early years, early days with the Colombian/Terra Firma franchise, but now, you know, he's here with TNT, and he's showing exactly why he's going to be valuable to such a celebrated team like TNT.
Well, so far he's doing all the right things, you know, playing really good defense. He's very athletic. He's making his shots. He's someone who I've always been impressed with from a scoring standpoint.
Montalvo did not get that one to fall in. You know, for Kip Montalvo, it's also good to see him back on the floor with TNT. Remember, it was his rookie year last year. As you mentioned, the scoring ability of Cobuntin. He asks, is this what you're talking about, Ali?
Oh, absolutely. You know, he reminds me so much of Aaron Aban back in the day because he's around 6'3", and he's very athletic. Just like Aaron Aban, being able to finish this way and get up over defensive players. This is a great play and one. Running the break, he was rewarded for that hustle. But we've seen a lot of those transition points. That was part of the runs made by TNT Giga in their last game against Blackwater.
You know, that's an interesting point you make, and we always love these comparisons between current generation players and players who were once, you know, in the league, especially the prominent ones. And allow me to ask, Ali, is there a player in the PBA right now, among newer players, that kind of makes you say, hey, this guy kind of plays like how I did?
Well, there's two guys that come to mind right now. One of them is Abu Trotter over in Alaska, and then someone that used to play for Alaska, I would say. Actually, but he has a lot more weapons than I do, believe me, and that's the muscle man, Vic Manuel, because he just operates so efficiently and effectively down there in the block. He has three-point shooting. I don't have three-point shooting. He can score with both hands. I definitely couldn't score with both hands, but strength-wise, power-wise, reminds me a lot, so much of the way I used to play.
Would you have rather been called the muscle man when you were playing? It feels like that fits you too.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know where Man Mountain came from. Joe,
I mean,
but,
that was
know,
a pretty slick nickname.
I guess. I mean, I didn't really like it. It's only in my retirement that I'm appreciating it. But okay, you know, a lot of my teammates, it just stuck for whatever reason. My teammates started calling me that. I said, okay, let's just go with it. But just seeing Meralco out there, well, first of all, two sister companies going at it is always something pretty interesting to see. You think about San Miguel and Ginebra. Here it's TNT and Meralco. A bit of a chess match going on here because both Coach Chut Reyes and Coach Norman Black are very detailed type of coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can talk about so many player matchups here, but we have to look at the coaches, the mentors on the sidelines, and take it for what it is. An excellent matchup between two brilliant basketball minds. We got the championship coaches there, but so far, you know, it's the cap of Coach Chot up by 9 points. Gusto mo ba ng kakaibang viewing experience sa PBA? Register to join the PBA Virtual Fan Experience and become a Bida fan. Dahil dito sa PBA, tayo ang Bida! Registration link will be posted a day before each PBA game day on PBA, PBA Rush, TV5, and One Sports Facebook page. So that's a new way to enjoy your PBA action. Not only will you be able to watch the PBA, but there's a chance you see yourself in that huge screen where you see all of the PBA teams there. You actually see some of our virtual PBA fans up there. That's where you could be sitting. Starting out the second quarter, it hasn't been the prettiest offensive game right now for the Meralco Bolts, and also they're having problems trying to limit the TNT tropang Giga.
Well, again, you're talking about defensive-minded teams here, and I really believe that when TNT is playing really good defense, then everything starts to fall in place for them, particularly their offense. You're looking at, so I'm looking at the field goal percentages right now for TNT and Meralco. They're around 5 and 6 ranked in the league right now, so just sort of in the middle of the pack. But it has been both teams' defense that's really carried them through. And again, right on point as we see another steal by TNT. This time, Jason Castro converting off of that steal, resulting in another bucket. And so points off of turnovers, TNT leads the entire league. They're averaging around 23 points per game for that. But what's also interesting here is when you go to the Meralco side, Meralco is #1 in second chance points opportunities. And this is where TNT is going to have to really focus on boxing out, something that I think that they didn't do a very good job of in their last game.
Castro was defended well by Travis Jackson, and that shot. Hodge splitting the defenders, just could not get the shot to fall through.
Right now, this is not the pace that Meralco wants to play. They are not a fast-breaking team this conference. Again, going back to TNT, this is what they want to do. They want to create some pressure, some defensive pressure in the backcourt for Meralco, force some turnovers, and get into the running game. And so far, it's working.
Well, TNT right now has doubled the output of Meralco, and again, the ball's just looking for sources of points here. It was a good start actually for Chris Newsome earlier, but then went silent for a while. Only has 3 points as well for Elaine Maliksi, and 2 for Art Pinto.
Oh, nice pass. Chris Newsome to Aaron Black.
That's one guy. That's one guy, Ali, who can definitely provide points for them quickly.
Absolutely, he's doing it whether he's starting or coming off the bench. Aaron Black. Oftentimes there's a lot of pressure attached to, especially a second-generation player, especially Coach Norbert Black. But Aaron Black has done a tremendous job for this Meralco Bulls team.
He's done a great job.
He's done a great job,
and he's also done a great job of just taking away, just shutting off the pressure that everyone is putting, or maybe fans or other commenters would be putting on him as, like you said, a second-generation player.
I think the most important thing is just not worrying about other people's expectations and focusing on what you expect of yourself. And so far, so good for Aaron Black. But right now, J.P. Adam and Cliff Hodge are kind of getting tangled up.
That's right, and both of them are complaining to the referees.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a nice play here. Aaron Black getting up, showing some of his athleticism. Nice assist from Chris Newsome.
Definitely, and that's the kind of leader Newsome is. There are leaders that lead by scoring. They would be the ones who will be dependable. And to some extent, Newsome is like that. I mean, he won the game against Magnolia for them, but he's also one leader who will share that basketball, who will make sure everyone is involved as much as he can.
Well, he has taken on that role this time around. Okay, Basera Mera no longer in the picture, so he has to take on the role of being a leader on and off the court in the locker room, but also being more of a facilitator. And ever since that's happened, his numbers have bumped up as this conference has progressed.
That's a lucky break for R.R. Pugoy, getting his own rebound after missing that bailout three-pointer. And it's Eram who turns it into his own three-pointer, biting his lip, showing some aggression there. And he loved that he knocked that down in front of Cliff Hodge. Like Ali said, those two guys got tangled up numerous times earlier. We have a timeout brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. Here we go with the continuation of this game between Meralco and TNT. So far, TNT on top by 14 points, 29 to 15. 8.5 minutes left in the first half, and it's TNT who has been able to set the tone. Do you feel, Ali, that as early as this here in the PBA semi-bubble, because they are coming off of different kinds of games. A 20-point blowout for TNT, wherein they were able to rest some of their key players towards the end part of that game, as compared to Meralco coming off a game that was decided in the final second. Could fatigue be playing a factor this early?
I don't think so. That's just not what I see right now. I just see that TNT is doing a pretty good job defensively in particular, and it's throwing, it's offsetting Meralco's offense. As a matter of fact, Meralco's offense has been dismal so far in this first half.
And you see Kobuntin able to get the putback, mopping that miss, and also getting a bonus there.
Take a look at this pick and roll here, set up by Mikey Williams, and you can see what he's been able to do. That's a nice pull-up jumper, and then the hustle again by Bontin, getting the offensive rebound and putback.
You talked about the struggles of Meralco on offense. They're 6 of 20 from the field. No one has scored above 3 points. No one has converted on more than one field goal for the entire team.
But one of the things that TNT really capitalized on in their last game is their pick and roll defense. That's one thing that I noticed right off the bat. They were doing a very good job of mixing the defense up. That's something similar to what they're doing right now. But also the turnovers by Meralco. Meralco has 9 turnovers right now. This is early in the game, and TNT has converted off of those turnovers, scoring 11 points. So that adds to the extension of this TNT lead.
More than that, too. Look at that. Meralco has been limited to one-and-done possessions. It's one thing to be around 25% from the field, Ali, but it's another to only have one offensive rebound when you've already missed, about 15 shots. And so, with all the defensive tactics that Coach Chot has thrown at Meralco, it has been difficult for the Bolts, and it has powered TNT on their offensive end. We have a timeout brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. Thank you for joining us here on PBA Rush. John Sulit and Ali Peak on deck to serve you as we bring you the action that's happening over in the Davsu Gym in Bacolor, Pampanga, the hometown, the alma mater, former at least, of Jason Castro. And he and his team leading the Meralco Bolts here by 22 points, an early lead established by TNT.
Well, I talked about earlier the turnovers. Points this quarter, take a look at that, 15 points so far in this second quarter. 11-0 run for TNT, unanswered by Meralco. Meralco's just having a really tough time converting on some of their shots. But like you said, Judd, they're not getting as many options. But I also am taking a look at this pace. I mentioned it earlier, and it looks like it's really affecting Meralco's style of play. Meralco has to get into those half-court sets and really pound the offense and slow the game down, because this is towards TNT's advantage.
And Meralco's only scored 2 points here in the second quarter. Pinto trying to change that, still couldn't do so. He gets another crack at it, still unsuccessful, and Belo loses that ball out of bounds. Upset at the referee now. The frustration starting to play out for the Bolts.
But it's good defense by TNT's, particularly the interior defense. JP Adams has been doing a pretty good job of being active. However, he's got to grab the rebound. And I know that's driving Coach Judd crazy right now. But going back to Mikey Williams and the way he's orchestrating the offense, Judd, has been very, very impressive. I mean, again, like you said, he's 29 years old. This is not a rookie, guys. This is a guy that's been around. He's played in different professional leagues. It just so happens that he's made his mark here in the PBA, and he's fit in perfectly for TNT.
Oh, definitely, and we're already seeing it pan out as early as now. They've also made him a huge part of their offense. However, they throw out that offensive possession on that miscue. That's only turnover number 5, though, for TNT. As for Meralco, like you mentioned, they've collected a bunch of them already. 12 turnovers. But Ali, in this quarter, TNT is shooting 5 for 6 from the field. As for Meralco, only 1 for 7.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle for them. But again, you're looking at the defense, the way TNT is trapping some of these handoff and pick and rolls, and doing what we just saw right now, forcing another turnover. That is 13 turnovers for Meralco.
Allow me to correct myself. That's actually 1 for 9 for Meralco right now.
I mean, points from turnovers for TNT, 16 points they've generated. I mentioned 11 points. I was wrong about that. I'm going to go ahead and make a correction there, Judd. 16 points off the turnovers of Meralco.
16 points for the entire game.
16 points.
Turnover points for an entire game is already
It's
alarming
already good
enough.
Yeah, it's already good enough. And like I said earlier, points from turnovers, they're averaging around 23 points per game, and they're already at the 16 mark.
And it's just, Ali, just all the hustle points. You hustle point, you include, of course, points from turnovers, you include second chance points. You mentioned that 16 of TNT's points have come from the turnovers of Meralco. And now 8 of their points coming from second chance opportunities.
And this is supposed to be Meralco's thing, because Meralco's #1 off of second chance points, but TNT is matching that type of energy, that type of capability. And that's one of the things that Coach Chut always liked to do. If a team wanted to get out and run, he wanted to make sure that he was able to match that type of energy.
Right now, if you take a look at the numbers, everything being dominated by TNT. Well, biggest thing they're dominating right now is the score, the actual score, where they lead by 25, 14 to 15. And, you know, Meralco, when they went down before, it was also in a big fashion. So we're taking a look at different kinds of Meralco performances that we've seen here in the Honda PBA Philippine Cup 2021. Nathan was able to draw a foul, and that's going to be something important for them to try and get something going. Anything.
They got to stop the bleeding here, and hopefully Renel Hugnatan can knock down these 2 free throws, try to get something going offensively.
The only loss that Meralco has absorbed in this tournament thus far was against Rainer Shine when they lost 85-72. That was before the break that we had.
And that was an interesting matchup because at that point, Judd, those were the 2 best teams in the league. And clearly, Rainer Shine was able to edge out Meralco. Coach Norman Black wasn't very happy with the way Meralco had played defense in that particular game.
Bello and Williams getting tangled up, and it was actually Kelly Williams who got called for that offensive foul. So at least, you know, these little things, Meralco getting the stop there. It's now going to be a matter of them converting on the offensive end.
Well, they got to get back into their offensive sets here. They got to just walk the ball up, call some plays. This is where they're good. This is where they're good at evenly distributing the basketball. It's one of the top assist teams in the league. For years, actually.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's also a matter of them maintaining the number of weapons that they have in that unit. Mac Bello trying to take Mikey Williams there down in the block. That's also a picture, Ali, of the versatility of Mac Bello that obviously gives Meralco an advantage.
Well, what I like about Mac Bello, first of all, he's part of that trade that sent Baser Armero to Blackwater. But he's so versatile. He can knock down 3-point shots. He can play that stretch 4 position if you need him to. He can play in the post. So far right now, he's got 3 points and 3 rebounds. A little bit more production is going to be needed from Mac Bello or Meralco to climb back into this ball game, because right now, they're getting their butts kicked pretty bad.
It's a 22-point lead for the TNT tropang Giga. Meralco looked like they were looking for a backcourt violation there as Williams passed it to, well, Williams. The 2 Williams connecting Kelly and Mikey, and it's Mikey getting the 3-pointer there.
I believe that's his 3rd 3-pointer of the game so far.
He has been fiery from deep. You're absolutely correct. 3 of 4 from downtown, but the immediate response from Meralco, it's Aaron Black delivering.
Again, stopping the bleeding and trying to get this at least down to about 10 points if they can. But right now, you see that the adjustment made defensively. Actually, Meralco's been running this matchup zone for quite some time now in the second quarter because they're having a difficult time matching up.
You know, the stretch that Mikey Williams is on here, it's a similar thing to what we saw against Blackwater the other day. He just got some confidence and just started hitting all these shots. But Aaron Black, you know, he also was one of the biggest revelations in that PBA bubble last year. Was named most outstanding rookie of that quick tournament.
Yeah, it was quite an accomplishment. I mean, he did come on really strong, especially near and around the playoff time for the Meralco Bolts.
Especially too that he is a second-round pick, Ali. That's something many people forget. Jason Castro, though. This is his hometown, Bacolor, and you know, he spent a lot of time there. Learned to play basketball in those same streets where the school, the Davsu school, is positioned and located, and all this looks familiar for Jason Castro and for all of us who have seen the Blur hurt his opponent so many times. 13 points for Mikey Williams, including 3 3-pointers, and the averages that he brought into that break, Ali. He didn't average double digit in points, only 8.5, but he had about 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.5 steals. He was doing everything for his team.
Well, it's a good sign. And hey, I'm just going to keep saying, I'm very impressed with this guy. 13 points, 2 for 3 from 2-point range, 3 for 4 from 3-point range. So far, so efficient. And that's the one thing that I'm noticing from Mikey Williams. Very efficient, effective player.
Moving forward, do you think that there might be a time that he will be the heart and soul of TNT?
Possibly. I mean, when you look at some of the guys there, I mean, he already looks like a floor leader right now. Especially when he comes into the game, the way he's conducting the offense, he has control. It just seems like the players are following him. And the presence, that's the type of presence I feel and see when I see him. I mean, of course, I don't know him personally, but definitely has the potential to be that type of person, that type of player.
Kelly Williams is another guy that's just, it's nice to see him back on the PBA hardcourt. Was not with TNT last year in the bubble, and we thought he was ready to really step away from the game of basketball, but it kept calling him back, especially with the return of Coach Chot Reyes.
I think that made a lot of difference, and officials are going to have to really take a hard look at JP Adam and Cliff Hodge, because it has the potential of getting out of control.
That's right, and Hodge is right on the grill of Aram. It's a matter of taking control, Ali, before anything, like you said, blows up. You wanna put your foot down before, probably some bigger commotion breaks out.
Well, I'm glad the officials decided to call some sort of foul, but it sends JP Adam to the line to extend the lead of TNT.
Well, we know those two guys, then they love to work hard and get every advantage they can get for their team. But again, you just want to prevent anything from happening, anything untoward, and anything that shouldn't happen inside a basketball court.
Like we saw in the last game, TNT implementing that full court press, trying to force more turnovers, but Meralco handled that pressure really well. Cliff Hodge being able to convert off that.
How would you describe the system of Coach Chot, especially that you had played for him before?
Well, the dribble drive offense can be a bit confusing, especially if a player is used to more of a structure to where they know that they're supposed to be here when the ball goes there, for example. But in this dribble drive offense, you're sort of moving with the players, particularly the guards, when the offense is initiated by the guard play of someone like Jason Castro. Back when I was playing Jimmy Alapag, as a big, you knew exactly where to go to clear space for the guards or the wings, because really the initial offense is to attack the basket right off the bat. The responsibility for the bigs, and I think just based on what I'm seeing here, this is probably this game and the last game so far, execution has looked a lot better in comparison to the first few games. Again, they're still getting used to the offensive sets by Coach Chot Reyes.
Well, there are a lot of new guys here that Coach Chot also acquired as he joined TNT. Aside from the rookies, well, you're taking a look at a handful of new names for them, Kubuntin included. He had been with the team, but then, is there anyone in particular that you feel, among the newer players of TNT, you feel was an acquisition or a great addition that would work well in that dribble drive system?
Well, I think anybody can work really well in the dribble drive system. They just have to sort of free their minds a little bit. We We see Glenn Cabontin, with 8 points, shooting very well from the free throw line, doing all the right things for TNT. And a second chance opportunity here. This has got to drive Coach Norman Black crazy because another rebound given up.
That's 9 offensive rebounds already for TNT. And again, they've scored a bunch.
That's
of
10.
points.
That's 10 because Troy Rosario just got the offensive rebound and the putbacks, 50 to 26. Goodness, I didn't expect this, Judd. I really didn't. But you got to give hats off so far to TNT, especially in the way they're playing defense. They're limiting the options. What you just saw right there, this is something that Coach Chut likes to do a lot. They trapped the ball screen, and then they dropped back into a 2-3 zone. And that confused Meralco's offense.
And you know what? The numbers will easily tell you where the advantage of TNT has been. They have 10 offensive rebounds and 11 second chance points. They have 19 points off turnovers. And they have forced Meralco to 14 errors in the first half alone.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Norman really prides himself on, his team on, is limiting the turnovers. Normally, a good night would be about 12 to 13 turnovers at the end of the game, maybe less than that. But sure enough, you don't want turnovers to be into the 20s, 22, 23 turnovers. That's a bad night.
Definitely, but they've had a difficult time in limiting that number right now. So it's been a point of problem and a point of concern here for Meralco, especially that they are down by 24 points. Ram steps back, shoots a three-pointer. Nothing there. Hodge again back on the ground by my unofficial count. He's hissed to the floor at least 8 times already here in the first half.
Another second chance opportunity and conversion off that second chance opportunity. 50-50 ball this time for TNT.
I've heard someone say this too, that it's easier to knock down those outside shots or free yourself up for 3-point shots off offensive rebounds. That's exactly what happened there.
Well, another steal committed by TNT. And this is something that Coach Norman Black's going to have to address going into the locker room at halftime, because they're doing a horrible job of taking care of the basketball. They're not boxing out. They're not locating, which is very uncharacteristic of Meralco. They're giving up points, 50-50 balls and offensive rebounds. And this is just, he doesn't, Chris Newsom does not see Jason Castro coming at all, and out of frustration, he gives that foul.
Yeah, and that's being reviewed right now, whether it should be a flagrant or a deliberate foul. But they say it's just a regular foul.
Well, TNT has had a balanced attack throughout this first half, Jay. Look at also, we've been talking about the outside scoring of TNT. We've been talking about the offensive rebounds of TNT, the steals and converting off of those steals, but also points in the paint has been something very crucial. Again, actually that goes back to the offensive rebounds and putbacks. 24 points in the paint for TNT. That's really good. And if you're Coach Chut, you should be happy going into the locker room.
Meralco, this is far from what we saw from them in their first 6 games in the Philippine Cup. But they are trailing right now by a large margin. 27 points is the advantage of the TNT tropang Giga. They have done it in so many ways. They continue to roll, and the Tropa is trying to stay undefeated, led by the rookie Mikey Williams. They take actually a 28-point advantage at the end of the first half. It's the halfway point of this matchup between the TNT Tropang Giga and the Meralco Bolts. Here in the Honda PBA Philippine Cup 2021, TNT up by 28. Judd Sulit here alongside Ali Peak to bring you the game happening over at the Dubsu Gym in Bacolor, Pampanga. This started out, we were hyping it up, Ali, as the battle for the top spot. And It was interesting to begin with because
Very interesting.
yeah, they were coming off stellar wins in their previous game.
Yes.
However, TNT was quick to say, right now we're still dominating.
Well, they came really prepared, and they started off real strong in the first half, especially in the first quarter. You saw the execution offensively. They looked a lot more composed. They were more patient. But it was also the offensive rebounding and putbacks that did a lot of damage, but then also the defense, particularly steals like the one here by Jason Castro converting. We saw numerous times that TNT was able to convert off of those types of defensive plays. We did see a few highlights. Chris Newsom being able to find Aaron Black on the alley-oop, but it's just been all TNT the entire first half.
Absolutely, and Mikey Williams tarring for them just as he did in their previous game when they won by 20 against Blackwater. Jason Castro was eventually named best player of that game, but Williams top scored for TNT with 16. Let's take a look at our halftime stats brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA.
Well, just discrepancies across the board here. 43% shooting for TNT, but 28% for Meralco, which is very, very low. Turnovers has been the issue for Meralco. 15 turnovers. Points in the paint, TNT has dominated 24-10. And then points off of those turnovers, I talked about the steals. 23 points for TNT, but then again, TNT is number one as far as points off of turnovers, points off of steals in the league so far.
Definitely a strong point of their game, but the 23 points off turnovers, that's already right at their average, Ali. They averaged 23.3 and they got it in one half. And you see the guys benefiting from those turnovers of Meralco. Williams and Castro leading the way for TNT, and then just everyone chipping in as much as they could.
Absolutely. Now on the other side, Aaron Black with 8 points, Mac Bello 4, Cliff Hodge 3, Chris Newsom 3, Elaine Maliksi 3 points. Those numbers from those last 3 guys that I mentioned, those numbers need to bump up dramatically in the second half if Meralco expects to turn this thing around and try to win this game.
Again, Meralco enters this game with only 1 loss in the 6 matches that they've played here in the Honda PBA Philippine Cup. But that's not looking like it. They're not playing right now to the record, but you have to give credit as well to TNT with how they've locked down on the bolts, forcing or only allowing 9 made field goals for Meralco in the first half.
Well, if they can mimic that in the second half, then it's going to be smooth sailings for TNT. But I'm sure that Coach Norman Black has made adjustments on both ends of the court.
Coach Norman Black, a 10-time PBA champion as a coach. And, he's someone who plays with a lot of pride. Look at Jason Castro. Something that Jason Castro is truly an extension of Coach Chot Reyes. And we're seeing it in every huddle that they make as we bring you into this timeout. Brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. 28-point lead for TNT Alley in the first half. And I know we speak for many people when we say that this is not what we expected to see in the first 24 minutes.
Well, it's definitely a surprise, but this is something that I've seen time and time again. And it just looks like Meralco in that first half got hit with that stiff jab and just a bit stunned, running into a well-prepared TNT team. But again, we're going to see the type of adjustments that Meralco had to make in order to figure out a way to climb back into this game.
Williams. Oh, Kelly sneaks one through.
Oh, he saw that lane wide open, so he went ahead and attacked, and it worked out for him.
Now it's a 30-point lead. And if you didn't know the standings or the records of these two teams, you would think that, yes, maybe TNT is the undefeated team, and you think that Meralco would be down below in the standings. But no, they're right up there. They're 1-2 right now. This is actually a game, a battle for the top spot in the standings. But I also understand, Ali, that this is just the way basketball is.
Yes,
you know,
it's
sometimes it just doesn't work, you know, towards your favor. The good thing for Meralco, though, is that they still have a lot of time on the clock to try and right the wrongs. And Macbell is starting to do that. Mikey Williams. He has definitely had a hot hand.
Definitely a guy that picked up the offense a lot smoother, a lot quicker. And there's that defense again by TNT. Although Meralco was able to convert on that three-point shot by Bon Quinto, and another turnover committed by Meralco because of the defense, but it looked like our Pogoy rather, gets fouled and gets the and one. But here's that pick-off, and we've seen a lot of this by TNT throughout this entire conference. And our Pogoy gets out to the break, able to finish and draw the foul.
You know, Mikey Williams would walk near Pogoy later in that play, and Pogoy whispered something, and he said, probably saying, "Well, thanks for screaming end one for me. I didn't have to do it anymore because you did." And but if you're the coach, Ali, you like that, you know, the players on your team celebrating the buckets of each other, regardless of who it was who made that happen for the team.
Well, one of the things that TNT did, particularly when I was there, and one thing that Coach Chut really did a good job of was making sure that it wasn't about any individual, it wasn't about him, it was about everybody. And that's the type of community you can see that he's trying to build right now in this TNT team. And what's also impressive is the way they've been able to respond through certain points of adversity. You know, we saw earlier on that they weren't able to compete because of safety restrictions, safety guidelines, but they were able to come back, and the way they came back was pretty impressive because it looked like they didn't miss a beat.
It was a full month that we were away from the court. These players were, well, they weren't able to work as a unit.
It's just right now, and we've actually not now, Judd, but we've seen this throughout the entire first two quarters of this game. Now we're seeing it again in this third quarter. Meralco not being aware of where their defenders are, particularly when it comes to getting the ball stripped from them. We saw that in the first half, right before halftime, where Chris Newsom gets stripped because he didn't see another defender coming towards him. The same thing happened here with Aaron Black a moment ago. But as I say this right now, Raymond Almazan is at the free throw line.
Where do you think can Meralco start in, you know, trying to play better basketball here in the second half?
First of all, they need to take better care of the basketball, control the pace, and try to get into their half-court sets and just operate. But they also have to make stops on the defensive end. And they're having a very difficult time doing that because TNT looks like they're really starting to get more comfortable with the dribble drive offense.
Kelly Williams with a nice no-look pass to Pogoy, who streaks to the basket for the Deuce.
Just easy buckets by TNT.
Black trying to ignite something, you know, just anyone on Meralco, and every one of them possibly knew the provider. Yes, he does. Gives them 2 points.
Houston was able to get that bucket, but if you notice that they worked hard for that shot. They really worked hard for that shot.
And again, more second chance opportunities for TNT as Pogoy initially faked that pass to Rosario. Not just second chance opportunities, Ali. Third chances.
Third chance opportunities. Again, has to be killing Coach Norman Black right now. I know I would be hurting if I was the head coach. Again, uncharacteristic of Meralco in the way they play.
You know, if you're the Meralco Bolts right now, the players, the last thing you want is for Coach Norman Black to have to borrow your jersey. He might just check
go
into the
back out
game
there, right?
himself.
That actually happened with me and Coach Norman Black.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
this
that's
is
very
a long time ago, guys. This is like, some of you guys weren't even born yet, but it was 1998. Our import just left. He said he's going to go play in Australia. Okay, so Coach Norman Black had 1 week to practice with us. He's our head coach. He suited up, and we ended up playing against Shell, and I believe he had like 16 points. This is a 40-year-old man, okay, who hasn't really played that much, but he had like 16 points and like 18 rebounds and like 2 or 3 block shots. Unbelievable.
This is incredible. And, well, you know what? Aaron Black actually posted a video a couple of years as
Nice block by Chris
Gets
Newsom.
the
Great
block!
hustle. Wow. And that's the type of effort that they're going to need to really climb back into this ball game, Chet.
Yeah, just hopping back on that topic on Coach Norman. His son, Aaron Black, actually posted a video of him dunking at 60
Yeah, it's like
years old.
60, exactly. But that's just the athleticism that he's always had.
That's going to be a loose ball foul on Troy Rosario. Look at this. Newsom showing that he still has the hops. Cobuntin's layup stood no chance. Newsom was already all over that. 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. It's a 30-point lead for TNT.
This is amazing. I just can't. We both would never imagine that Meralco would be down by this many points. But having said that, there's a lot of time in this third quarter, and we saw what happened with Phoenix. We were covering that game.
That's right.
We've seen a lot more interesting things happen.
I actually canceled the rest of my evening. I was preparing for 8 overtimes for this game, with it being a battle for the top spot. Not that anyone has major plans nowadays.
Yeah, exactly right.
Ito, left open. Well, you know what? Aside from taking care of the basketball alley, the comeback from Meralco will also have to come from them getting good looks and knocking down those good looks. Only shooting just a tad bit below 30% from the field, and look of frustration on the face of Chris Newsom as he exits the game for now. Has 5 points, only 2 of 5 from the field. What hurts more for Meralco is their leader has 4 turnovers. The Bolts looking for some offense. They insert Anjo Karam onto the floor. Here's Hodge. They're moving that ball around, but not really finding the gaps in the defense. Hodge able to find a way to score. Finishes through the foul.
And if there is a chance for Meralco to get back into this ball game, it's, again, I talked about how effective they are in the half court, not necessarily trying to increase the pace of the game, but this is where they're the most effective. You see Cliff Hodge find his way to the basket. Took a lot of work, but he was able to draw the foul there. But you saw at least 3 or 4 solid passes by Meralco to get that shot off.
There's 6 minutes to go, and there's some energy that Hodge, we're so used to seeing him provide this for Meralco. And that's why you'll appreciate guys like Cliff Hodge on any team, really, because they don't stop working, Ali, whether it be a 30-point deficit, a 1-point deficit, or a 100-point deficit. a guy like Cliff Hodge will keep putting in the effort.
Well, he is their workhorse, Judd. And right now, we're seeing some life from Meralco. Actually, you know, I mean, the energy was there in the first half for Meralco. It's just they were just having a really difficult time all across the board. Here, they're actually trying to get things done. They are getting a few things done, even though this deficit is still quite large. But we're seeing some hustle plays there. Earlier, Cliff Hodge, and then Nards Pinto.
Well, the biggest thing, Ali, that we're seeing from them right now is something that you said earlier. What you said was that they weren't able to play out their advantage, which is second chance opportunities. Now we're seeing them grab offensive rebounds.
Yes, and just kind of getting back to their true identity. But I like the fact that they've attempted to slow the game down and get into their half-court offense. But on the other hand, if you're TNT, you want to be very aware of this. They've been getting offensive rebounds, and they're going to the free throw line. They're stopping the time, and they're slowly climbing back into this basketball game. If you're TNT, you want to focus on locating and boxing out and grabbing those defensive rebounds to start the offense.
Yeah, because in the first part of this game, and also a big reason why the tropang Giga were able to erect this huge advantage, they controlled the pace and the tempo of this game.
They did.
They sped it up. And again, you know, the numbers would tell you that TNT excels in a fast-paced, back and forth game with them forcing turnovers, getting fast break points. Eram had to invent a shot there. That's going to be a foul on the TNT tropang Giga. Looks like it's going to be on Dave Marcelo. That will send Reynel Hugnatan to the free throw line.
One of the things that you have to be aware of, any team has to be aware of, is not to fall in love with your lead. TNT has a large lead here, but that doesn't mean that they stop being accurate. They stop being detailed. What we saw in that last sequence was lazy passing, or just careless passing. That was a careless handoff by JP Adam with the shot clock winding down, which resulted in a forced shot, a rust shot. And, you know, if you're Dave Marcelo, look, and you don't have any chance of really stealing the basketball, just sprint back on defense.
Meralco making some strides here in the middle of the third quarter. The lead of TNT reached a high of 30 points. Meralco able to get it, well, within 24 at some point before Eram made that basket, puts it back up to 26.
Well, Meralco's trying to pressure the ball in the backcourt. And, you know, they were doing a pretty good job of that, trying to slow down the offense of TNT, but TNT did a pretty good job of breaking that press.
Jason Castro arguing that it should have been an offensive foul on Reynel Hugnatan, but the call was a foul on him.
See this nice pass here by JJ Alejandro to JP Eram.
Eram has also learned to position himself well, especially now that he's become one weapon in the toolbox of TNT, unlike, you know, when he was with Blackwater and he was with NLEX. He was pretty much the lone big, and they would really depend on him underneath.
Especially Blackwater when he was over there. I think that he got a little lost while he was with NLEX, but that's just, I'm saying that because coming from Blackwater, he was used to starting every single game. When you're playing under Coach Yang Yao, you're not going to start every single game. That's just his style. So I'm sure that took a bit of time to adjust. Now he's here in a position, in a situation where, yes, you're right, Judd, there's a lot more weapons that Coach Judd can work with, and that takes a bit of the pressure off of him. But he's got to be able to secure those type of handles and be able to finish underneath the basket. What we just saw right there, a three-point shot by Nards Pinto over there in the corner.
And it looks like Meralco is trying to trap, and it works. Even Jason Castro losing You know, that possession right there, and TNT trying to break that blitz that Meralco is throwing at them. Look at Meralco here, though, getting to within 19. A furious rally for the Bolts.
This is a good job here by Meralco, really fighting and clawing their way back in, all because of the full court press. It's been working for them over the last few minutes. Now it's really starting to pay dividends here. And also another factor, Anjo Karam coming into the game has made some significant difference in terms of controlling the pace of the game.
You know, Anjo Karam, I think he has had a spectacular PBA career, although spectacular in a way that's kind of different from many other spectacular PBA careers, because since he joined the Meralco Bolts, he was never away from that organization. But sometimes, Ali, he would be on the active roster, he would be on the reserve list. Sometimes he would act as an assistant coach. But then there, he brings so much value with his basketball IQ to his team.
Well, you also have to go back to the times that he substituted for Basera Mer. When Basera Mer was struggling in the finals, back-to-back finals against Inebra, it was Anjo Karam that would come in and just sort of pacify things, knock down shots, control the offense, particularly the scoring end, which was pretty remarkable. And he's had some big outings playing for Meralco. Right now, a 1-3 zone by Meralco.
You see them rushing out, closing out to our Pugoy. There's going to be a foul. It's going to be whistled on John Pinto.
It's good hustle there by JP Eram underneath the basket, fighting for those rebounds. It's one of the things that Coach Chut expects from the bigs is crashing the boards. Now, this has been going on ever since his Coca-Cola days. Think about guys like Rob Wainwright, Rafi Rivas, and then Poch Winyo, and also Freddie Abuda when he was playing with Coca-Cola, and Rudy Hatfield. Those guys would crash the boards like a bunch of mad dogs, and that's sort of the style that Coach Chut wants with his bigs here at TNT.
You know, I think that the description that you put in there, Troy Rosario is one guy who will fit that job description that you said, because you know he's someone who positions well, someone who just works, just finds a way to impact a basketball game even though he doesn't have the basketball. We were just talking about Troy Rosario, and look at the consistency of this guy. Averaging a double-double for the TNT tropang Giga.
12.5 points per game, shooting under 50% from the field, almost 11 rebounds per game. Now, this is the thing that Coach Chut said in one of his interviews before the break had happened, is that he expects Troy Rosario to be the first Troy Rosario. And I don't know if you remember hearing that, Judd. So many comparisons, so many people trying to compare Troy Rosario to being
RDO.
the next RDO.
Yeah.
And Coach Chut Reyes said, I don't want you to be the next RDO, I want you to be the first Troy Rosario. That statement alone takes a ton of pressure off of Troy Rosario, and it just seems that Troy Rosario's performance has really blended in, or definitely he looks a lot more comfortable in the offensive scheme of things, or the frameworks of what Coach Chut Reyes expects from him.
Whenever there are PBA drafts, what we always like to do in articles, in TV presentations where we cover the draft. We give comparisons because we want to give the fans a chance to understand what kind of game we can expect or how a certain player can possibly help. But how much do these really impact? Like you said, the pressure of that possibly gives a player to live up to that comparison or expectation.
Well, I remember Nick Velasco telling me that when he was interviewed before the draft, that they asked him how does he pattern his game after, or who does he look up to? He said Scottie Pippen at the time, and he said, Ali, when I got off that plane, I think they actually expected Scottie Pippen to step off the plane. So I mean, it's just, it's all perspective, I guess, and the way you look at things. Some players can handle it, some players can't. Some players, it takes more time to be able to deal with that type of pressure. And tell you what, Meralco's really making a comeback here. They're mounting a comeback.
You know what? This is more like the Meralco that we know, that we saw win 5 of their first 6 games. Again, we called it a furious rally earlier. It continues to be that. They get another steal. And Quinto just missing that one. Pinto actually opted for Quinto on that 3-on-1 break, and you just want to be able to capitalize on those. That shot from Troy Rosario breaks a long silence too for TNT.
It was a nice pass there by Mikey Williams, going up in the air, drawing Cliff Hodge to commit, and then passing it off to Troy Rosario.
From down by 30, Meralco able to work their way to within 16 points. It was even down to 14 a while ago. There's still a lot of ground to make up for, but then you just at least want to put yourself in a position where you can compete later in the game.
Well, it's a lot better than being down by 30 points. And again, the effort here displayed by Meralco, 30 points in this third quarter so far. Cliff Hodges' numbers, 7 points, 5 rebounds, and all the hustle and diving on the floor for loose balls to go along with it.
Just the other day, TNT outscored Blackwater 37-17 in the third quarter, and they might be falling victims to that same ploy here in that same quarter. As Meralco has just found ways. It's again that trapping defense, Ali, that's given TNT some problems.
But TNT just has to recompose themselves and just sort of take their time into their offense and not try to be too frantic. Use the shot clock wisely here. Again, they have the lead. They have control of this basketball game.
It's been a 22-7 run.
Great hustle there by the bigs of TNT, fighting for that offensive rebound. JP Adam, to be exact.
Castro now leaves it for Pogoy. Pogoy straight to the basket.
Second chance points on the board for TNT here.
Pinto gets it off the glass, beats the buzzer. And that is an important basket because TNT scored, right before that play. So that layup from Pogoy almost sort of neutralized that momentum that was swinging towards Meralco's side. But this shot from Pinto right at the buzzer reinstates the rhythm that the Meralco Bolts were able to establish late in that third quarter. It's still a 15-point lead, but like Ali said, it's better than the 30-point deficit they were first facing earlier on. John Pinto was key in this comeback that Meralco, well, they started it. They haven't completed it. And they are hoping that they will be able to, as Pinto has 12 points. And, he was just really a big part of that rally they made.
Well, Nards Pinto, I've always said, has been one of the tougher, more physical guards in the league. And it's a great pickup for Meralco. That happened a few conferences back. And, he's fit in really well into Coach Norman Black's system here. But what we're seeing here, you see that point production in the third quarter, 33 points for Meralco, only 20 points for TNT, and a lot of it had to do with the hard work. Defensively, that full court press, forcing turnovers committed by TNT, scoring off of those turnovers, and then the hustle plays down low.
Yeah, you're right, Ali. I mean, we highlighted the 12 points of Nards Pinto, but it was more than that. It was more than the offense he provided, and not even just the steals that would be under his name, because sometimes he would be the one pressuring the ball handler or trapping, and then it would be his teammates, picking up that basketball when that ball handler releases it.
Absolutely.
So these are numbers that won't reflect under his name, but he made those possible.
Exactly, Jim.
But still, again, still a 15-point lead that TNT has. Roy Rosario seems like he was hurt a bit, got caught in the face.
Well, the defense is a lot tougher, it's a lot more physical, they're a lot more active, Meralco that is, especially when TNT tries to attack the basket or when the ball is dished off or passed off to the bigs underneath. They're converging on the big guys, Troy Rosario and JP Edom, right off the bat. You see here's the drop pass, but also watch how the bigs of Meralco converge on Troy Rosario. Now, there was a foul there, but that's pretty much how their defense has been. Very active, very physical, very aggressive in this second half, and that's made all the difference. It's the reason why they've been able to cut this gap and make it a little bit closer.
You said that the comeback of Meralco will have to start with them taking better care of that basketball, and at the same time, not preventing TNT from scoring all those points away from turnovers. But you see, that's exactly what Meralco was able to do. 23 points off turnovers in the first half for TNT. Only 5 in that third quarter.
And Pasao getting that putback. JP Edom not pleased. And another turnover here, Judd. Another turnover by TNT. This is unbelievable.
That's going to be Meralco basketball.
I talked about pace here. I talked about how the pace was in the advantage in the first half towards TNT. Now, JP Edom was trying to tap it to his teammates, but he just needs to grab that with 2 hands. He's the biggest guy out there.
Bottom goes to Pinto. We actually haven't seen much from Chris Newsom. Hasn't had the kindness of afternoons and evenings also, but a lot of other guys picking up after him.
Picking up. Nards Pinto is picking up. Andrew Carroll made his presence felt earlier in the third quarter rather.
Mikey Williams had 15 points, or had a bunch of points at the half, but he was also limited. And the reason why is there have been so many times that TNT would have a hard time just getting that ball past the half-court line.
Yeah, again, give credit to the active hands, the defense of Meralco. Just really turning things on here.
9:55 to go. .13 lead for TNT. Make that 14 after Bugoy is able to contribute. Allow me to correct myself. Williams had 13 points in the first half and was able to score 5 here in the second so far. And this is something you mentioned right at the start of the second half. You expected drastic adjustments and change on the side of Meralco, knowing that Coach Norman is the one leading them.
Well, the two things I should say that really that I noticed right off the bat was, first of all, energy, all right, offensively and defensively, the hustle, and then doing a much better job of taking care of the basketball, particularly in the mid towards the end of the third quarter and now into the fourth quarter.
There is a bit of some confusion there. But a foul is called on TNT. And it was Bong Quinto who fell to the ground, but when he got up, he was the one asking JP Eram, "Are you okay?" And they continue to bump into each other, Eram and Hodge. Eram upset. He felt like Karam pushed him, and that's why he committed that foul on Hodge. And it's been a troublesome stint for Eram. He does have 9 points and 8 rebounds and only a couple of fouls.
Coach Chuck's going to put him back into the game just after a few minutes.
Yeah, that's 3 fouls on him. Meralco retains possession. Hodge the handoff to Black. They spot Quinto. Shies away from the 3 here. Sugnatan from the right elbow. Bottom of the net.
Great ball movement there by Meralco. Again, working that ball around to get the highest percentage shot or the best percentage shot. They're really having a hard time getting the ball across the court.
That's right. And is there something in particular with the press that, or the trap that Meralco's throwing at TNT that makes it difficult?
Well, it doesn't seem to, on TNT's side, there doesn't seem to be some sort of pressure release. And usually that has to come from the big man.
And, you know, we have these emotions right in this game. Meralco tried to mount a comeback. They'll try to do that after this timeout. Brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. Let's take a look at the team standings, and this is why, you know, TNT initially poured out everything they had, and now Meralco, we're seeing them mount a crazy comeback. It's because this game is the battle for the top spot.
You look at both of these teams right now. Meralco bolts a 5-1 record. TNT 4-0. They have a chance here to go 5-0. And both of these teams doing pretty well in many of the stat categories so far in this conference. One of the reasons why you're talking about two of the best teams in the league right now. It's a nice move there. Tradition, vintage, Raynel Hugnatan operating in that post. Nice baseline spin against Kelly Williams.
11 is the lead now of TNT. You know what? Meralco had to fight back and climb back from down 30 just in the third quarter. Can they complete it though? It was a massive and miraculous comeback that they went on just the other day, last Wednesday, when they were down by 13 points in the last 2 minutes and still won that game right at the buzzer against Magnolia.
Well, I think it's in the back of TNT's minds that Meralco is one of those teams that's not going to go away. Even if they're down 30 points, there is a chance that they could climb their way back into it. Now they're here. Now TNT has to deal with this. But if you're Meralco, so much momentum is on your side here. and there's so much time left in this ball game.
I see frustration on the part of Cliff Hodge. He felt like he got all ball. The referee thought otherwise. We'll leave that debate to them. Even Reynel Ugnatan, you know, motioning that it should have been a let go. Nonetheless, R.R. Pugoy at the line. He makes the first one and Pinto checks back in. Still no sighting of Chris Newsome. Well, there he is on the Meralco bench.
Coach Norman is just going with what's working right now. So far, Andrew Karam, Nards Pinto running the show has been working for them in the second half. And he seems to have found the right combination to help him and this team get back into this ball game.
7.5 left in this match. Now, the other day, what Meralco did was put the first dent on the record of Magnolia. And what Meralco showed the league was that, okay, this team, despite winning their first 4 games, they're not invincible. And that's what they're hoping to do also against the TNT tropang Giga, to be the first to deliver the loss in the Honda PBA Philippine Cup 2021. Mikey Williams. Out to Kelly Williams. Kelly shooting the 3, doesn't go, and the rebound taken by Pinto. That's why he's on the floor, Ali.
That's a big rebound there by Nards Pinto.
But Quinto is not able to hit that open 3-pointer. Williams taking it to the other side.
He just took matters into his own hands there. He didn't even wait for his teammates to come down. Nice reverse layup using the left hand by Mikey Williams. Pretty impressive.
And Meralco, you know, they put a great effort to make a ball game out of this after going down by 30. But then TNT, they just have so many weapons in their bag.
That was a nice move. Speaking of weapons, Judd, Mikey Williams with nice focus and control, body control with that reverse.
That is now a 15-point lead. Mikey Williams with 20 points. TNT tropang Giga, they responded well to the rally that Meralco put together starting in the third quarter. And one of the guys who has held them together is that man. And look at him being vocal, acting like a leader in his very first year in the PBA.
Well, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists from Mikey Williams. Still a lot of time, 6:34 left in this game, but TNT is doing a pretty good job of keeping Meralco at bay, although Meralco has been doing a lot of good work on both ends of the court, climbing back into this ballgame.
Vito has that basketball, dancing in front of Kelly Williams, but there was a collision there. Referee did not blow his whistle, and Hodge and Pinto get left in the backcourt, asking the referee what happened, and that allows Mikey Williams to hit a 3.
3-point shot in the corner by Mikey Williams. So we're starting to see a lot more of what's in Mikey Williams' arsenal. He does have that 3-point shot, very consistent. Now, one of the crucial points of success for those old TNT teams was the ability for both guards, especially on the court together, particularly Jimmy Alapag, Jason Castro, was their ability not only to attack the basket and penetrate, but also knocking down three-point shots. So, again, great find as Reynel Hugnatan scores underneath.
You know, Williams right now with 23 points. He's shooting 9 of 15 from the field, 5 of 9 from downtown. He has provided so many positives for the TNT tropang Giga, and he's actually, this is very interesting to me, he actually leads the team in minutes, Howie, minutes played.
Well, I mean, so far he's shown a lot of good things, and he's proven himself to Coach Chud. Coach Chud obviously feels very comfortable with him going in there and running the offense. But then again, we're talking about a 29-year-old rookie, someone who, I mean, you wouldn't even consider a rookie. This is a grown man, okay, who's played numerous times as a professional. So this is really nothing to him. But I'm going to go back to the hole that Ray Parks left. This was a player that was averaging around 27, 28 points per game. And if you're going to replace a Ray Parks, Mikey Williams would be, and I've been saying this all along, would be probably your best choice. And so far, he's showing that.
83-67, Williams will miss from deep. Meralco, if they want to get back in this game, their comeback will have to start ASAP. Newsom got rid of Kobuntin's defense in an illegal way. He's called for the offensive foul. And, you know, for Nunu, he just cannot buy a break in this game.
So far, 5 points for Chris Newsom. He's kind of struggling from the field here, 2 for 5.
And when you have as many points as turnovers, because he's got 5 also, it's never a good sign, especially when you are the guy that your team looks for to ignite anything good for your side.
Judd, right now, Reynel Hugnatan has a double-double. He's got 13 points, 11 rebounds, and he's 43 years old. How about that?
And
42, 43 years old.
You know what also is insane on top of that is he's the 4th best scorer still on this Meralco team.
It's remarkable.
Averaging 9.7 points. Yeah, he's just something else.
Second chance opportunity here for TNT, again capitalizing off of that offensive rebound and put back by Jason Williams this time. Or excuse me, yes, Jason Castro this time.
Well, I understand where that is coming from, but with, of course,
He played with that last name as part of the national team.
yeah, Jason Castro William, and now you have a Mikey Williams together with a Kelly Williams
It's messing me up
on
right
your
now,
squad.
Jim. It's messing me up. I'm going to get it.
Mikey missing. That ball hit the face of Cliff Hodge. But look at 3 TNT
hustle.
tropang Giga players. Oh, Rosario is hurt though. Holding on to his ankle. We hope Troy is okay, but he limped out of the court and eventually fell.
I'm going to try to figure out how that happened. Looked like he got hit, or maybe he landed on another player's foot.
If there's anything that he's hurt with, let's just hope that the worst that it is a sprain.
Okay, so it looks like an ankle, and just as I thought, he stepped on the foot of his teammate, Tin. There it is right there. And, you know, you're so focused on trying to get the ball that you're not really paying attention to where your foot is going. And oftentimes that results in an injury like that. Let's just hope that he's able to come back into this ball game and that it's not that serious.
Well, Al, you know, when players at this kind of level take the hard court, you guys get, well, not everyone, I guess, but a lot of guys get themselves taped.
I'll be honest with you. I taped in practice, but I never taped in the games.
Wow,
I just never. You know, it's a nice take by Mikey Williams. That's 25 points already, and he just keeps impressing me every single time down the court. Judd, you know, this is a very, very tremendous pickup for TNT.
I was able to see him play before when he was representing a club in Vietnam, and he would go up against a club against the Philippines in out of Pilipinas. But you know, Mikey was just a joy to watch. He was loved in the many countries that he visited because of his skill, his talent, and he put on a show, just as he's doing right now for TNT. And this is definitely a new career for Mikey Williams. For Reynel Ugnatan, this guy is ageless, you know. And it doesn't seem like he slowed down over the last few years.
I mean, versus Magnolia, he had 15 points, shot really well from the field. Tonight, double-doubles.
The measure of how many seasons or how many years Reynel Ugnatan has played in the PBA is the number of hairstyles that he sported onto the court.
He's had quite a few interesting hairstyles. I even think at one point he had a mohawk. Remember when mohawks were in? Or I forgot what they used to call them back in the day.
A mullet?
Everyone had no mohawks, man. I think like in the mid part of the 2000s, there were so many players that were sporting mohawks. But take a look at this offensive rebound and then entanglement between two Ateneo Blue Eagles.
Former teammates.
Former teammates.
Well, it's also, you know, a lot of frustration, I believe, for
It's
side
been tough.
of Meralco, and particularly Newsom.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough night for Chris Newsom.
And if you look back at the game that he had against Magnolia, it was also pretty difficult for him in the first few minutes, in the first 3 quarters, really. And it wasn't until that final stretch in that comeback run that he was able to make a strong impact in that game. Eram, however, picks up his 5th foul. Mikey Williams, again, you know, Ali, at this point, he's letting everyone know that you have to worry about his jumper as much as you have to worry about him attacking the basket.
This is a very skilled rookie, no question.
Who else has impressed you among the rookies this year? Monzon was able to show up for a few games.
Joshua Monzon, I think he's one of the more anticipated rookies.
Although I don't feel like he's been able to really show what he can do yet, right?
It's just been very, even though, you know, they've had back-to-back wins, this could be something, you know, as some sort of momentum that Terra Firma can definitely pick up on. But, you know, no one knows, and no telling what kind of situation that they're dealing with right now.
That's right.
They have been, how many players were tested positive as safety guidelines were implemented for specific teams. So there's still a lot of time.
Yeah, and of course Monzon had been ruled out of the Philippine Cup, but there's a new rookie in TNT showing up. His name, Mikey Williams. Jason Castro, one of the guys who has been helping TNT build an advantage this gym, very much familiar to him. And a new role for Jason, coming off the bench, but he still, he used to average, entering the break, he used to average close to 30 minutes still. And what some coaches would say, Ali, it's not who starts for you, it's who closes the game for you.
Well, I also think that a lot of it also has to do with, you see those stats there, 14 points, but a lot of it has to do with just preserving his legs, especially when you start getting into the position to make it to the playoffs, and then when you get into the playoffs. Those minutes are definitely going to increase once they get to the playoffs. If it's the semifinals, possibly the finals, this is definitely a finals contending, title contending team.
Yeah, and with them staying undefeated and with the way this game is going, this is another impending win for TNT. Looks a lot like how they started the PBA bubble last year, actually in Angeles, Pampanga. Remember, our Pagoy fired away for 40 plus points in that first game. And then Ray Parks had a brilliant game. And then JP Aaron actually set a new career high in points as well with 27 at some point in that tournament. They just had everything in check.
What I'm thinking is, can you imagine they draft Mikey Williams and Ray Parks is still there?
Yeah, this team is definitely talented, loaded with a lot of gifted players.
But having said that, Meralco is another team that I think has full potential to make it to the finals as well. I mean, just based off the way they've been playing in this conference.
At this point, Meralco will wave the white flag, at least for this game. Coach Norman Black deploying his shock troopers. I want to go back to a question I asked you earlier, Ali, with fatigue being a factor, just understanding the setup, teams playing every other game. At what point do you think fatigue might kick in? Not just for TNT and Meralco, but for everyone.
Well, I think those are always possibilities, but recovery is so key here. Each and every one of these players are out of their element, out of their comfort zone, away from their families. And so all of those things have to be put in consideration by the coaching staff. And as much as possible, you want these players to be off their feet as much as possible so they can recover a lot quicker, especially the older players.
We know you as one of the players the guys, really took care of your condition when you were playing the league. How do you think that these guys would still be able to sneak in, I don't know, their own shooting sessions, or maybe lift weights in the middle of all this?
Possibly weights, but I mean, what I've always been told, Judd, is sometimes less is best. And at the end of the day, yes, training hard is very important, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is performance. Being able to have your legs up under you, being able to be alert while you're out there playing. So again, these things come into play, especially in this PBA bubble. But TNT getting that win, 5-0, 91-76 over the Meralco Bolts. That is the final.
Absolutely incredible performance from the still undefeated TNT tropang Giga. They improved to 5-0, and Meralco will drop to 5-2. And our next level player of the game, no other than Mikey Williams, who just had an impressive ball game. We run out of words to describe
exactly
what he did here. And this next level player of the game brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. 27 points and 4 rebounds, 2 assists. There is little that he did do.
Well, it was the points, but also just the way he was able to orchestrate the offense, bring some sort of calmness and control, especially when things started to get really rough. But also the shot selection, being efficient, was also very impressive. And then seeing some of these athletic moves, the athletic shots taken, that reverse layup there. He had a lot of great highlights tonight. Congratulations, hats off to the rookie Mikey Williams.
Absolutely, definitely such a strong performance. We take a look at the team standings right now. That loss to Meralco puts them back where they were when they started the restart, we restarted the Philippine Cup is what I should say. Right at third, and TNT still the only remaining team undefeated in this tournament.
Well, hats off to them. They're doing a tremendous job. A lot of it because of this man, Coach Chuck Reyes.
Chot Reyes and Mikey Williams, our best player of the game. Congratulations on your victory po. Mikey, what made you so confident in this game?
My preparation. We've been practicing all week and just getting after it every single day to lead to today and our coming games. And we're just going to continue to work and keep at it.
Who or what inspires you to play so hard and perform well?
I definitely perform for myself first, God as well, and then my family and my support system back home and out here in Naga City as well. I'm just enjoying playing again and I'm having fun doing it.
Coach Shot, how important is it moving forward for TNT that you're able to handle the comeback attempt of Meralco?
It was very important. We talked about it at halftime, and our objective was to try to win the second half. Obviously, we failed in that target. Fortunately, we had a big enough lead, but we knew that Meralco was going to come back. We saw and we watched very intently how they got their W the last time out, and we knew their ability to come back. So the key was our ability to stay patient and not panic and just to relax. And I thought, on my part, there's a shortcoming in my end. I failed to prepare the team to handle that pressure of Meralco, the press break, and it showed today. That's why, that's what I told the players in the huddle in the third quarter. So we had to make some in-game adjustments, some in-game coaching to be able to show them how to handle that pressure defense, the press of Meralco, which was the one that got them back in their last W.
Coach Shot, another big game versus Magnolia coming up. How do you balance pushing your players every game but still keeping them fresh?
With the help of the entire staff, it's not me alone who balances it because we have the help of our assistant coaches and our strength and conditioning coach. Our nutritionists make sure that they're given the right nutrients. What was that? At midnight, we had some fruits last night, right? To make sure, yeah, because they lifted weights last night, so. So we had a late night weight session. We had a pretty good practice yesterday. So we pushed them hard, but it's really an art of understanding how to get them to a prepared state while still keeping them fresh. And that's going to be key for our next game again because we just have 1 day break and then we're coming back on Sunday again to play another tough team. So hopefully Troy's injury is not too severe. Hopefully he can play on Sunday because that's going to be a big part of our offense.
That's the kind of tournament these guys are playing over there in the PBA semi-bubble in Bacolor, Pampanga. Right after you finish a game, you think about the next one already. That's how close the assignments are. But TNT, they've done well. They entered this semi-bubble with an undefeated 3-0 record, and they've kept that pristine 5-0 now, largely thanks to that individual, Mikey Williams.
Well, a lot of it had to do with, just their defense. Their defense has been key this entire conference so far. And in addition to Mikey Williams, in addition to this ball club, has really helped them flourish. And in the second quarter, more defense by TNT that caused a lot of turnovers for Meralco. TNT being able to capitalize. And of course, offense was on point for TNT. Mikey Williams knocking down one of his 3-point shots in that first half.
Yeah, he had a total of 5 out of 10 attempts. And Jason Castro, he will never be out of that TNT mix. You know, even with a new guard in Mikey Williams emerging to be a major contributor for them, Jason Castro will always find a way to contribute, just as our Pogoy does here.
And again, it looked as if TNT was going to keep rolling here. A lot of the turnovers caused by Meralco, not doing a good job of taking care of the basketball. Our Pogoy, Boy Adam, capitalizing off of those fast break points, but then it was Nards Pinto and Meralco leading the charge to make that run, that significant run, to bring the lead down to about 15.
Yeah, because at some point in that third quarter, in the early goings of it, the TNT lead reached a high of 30 points. But yeah, like Ali said, Meralco tried to go on a comeback rally, but it was muted by some plays, some big shots coming from TNT's rookie, Mikey Williams, who was eventually named our best player of the game. He finished with a new career high, 27 points. But it feels like every game that he plays in the PBA, he sets a new career high.
Definitely, and it was a full effort, full team effort. Even though Mikey Williams was the player of the game, to see another highlight by Mikey Williams, really pushing the ball here, knowing what to do with it, being able to score here. But again, all across the board, great production by TNT on both ends of the court.
15-point win for the Meralco Bozos. Game highlights brought to you by Honda, the official motorcycle of the PBA. We got games tomorrow. It's a doubleheader. Phoenix versus NLEX at 2 p.m. and Alaska versus San Miguel at 4:35. You can watch those games here on PBA Rush. For now, it's a wrap for us. For Ali Peak, my name is Judd Sulit. Thank you for watching the PBA.